I'm market analyst Michael Filighera of Traders Helping Traders with the Eye of the Storm podcast, helping you make informed trading decisions for the week ahead. And good day, everybody, and welcome to the Eye of the Storm podcast. My guest today is Sonny Harris. Sonny Harris and I have known each other now for several years, and I have always admired her analysis and the tools that she uses. So I've asked her to be on the podcast today so that we can discuss and talk about trading, but also bring into focus the tools that Sonny uses. And here's the treat, folks. She actually designed them and programmed them herself. So she'll be able to really discuss them with us. And it's not like we're pulling in somebody else's. These are hers personally that she uses to trade her accounts. So welcome, Sonny. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Michael.
Now, interesting that Sonny and I both have 40 years plus in this business, in the trading business. And we come from different backgrounds that brought us into trading, but both actually deal with numbers. Mm-hmm. And in my case, my background is in music. I went to a conservatory of music, and numbers, when you analyze music and you're doing the chord structures, they're numbers. Mm-hmm. So I always have had this affinity for numbers where I'm able to put them in my head and analyzing and move forward. Sonny, why don't you tell us how numbers came into your life?
Well, when I got out of high school, I decided I would just go to college and do the easiest thing, get my degree as fast as I could, because I wanted to start work and make a living. So I majored in math because for me, that was the easiest thing to do. And then I got a minor in photography because they told me I should take courses other than math, so I have some electives. And I said, well, what's the building next door? And they said, well, that's industrial arts. And I said, what's over there? And they said, well, yada, 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 and photography. So I'm like, okay, I'll take my classes in photography. But then I went on and got another degree in math and another degree in math and another one in photography. And that's how it happened.
So your background is in mathematics, mm-hmm. and then you added photography. So what drew you towards programming?
Well, that's another fluke too. When I graduated with a bachelor's degree, Northern California was in recession. Lockheed had laid off 18,000 people, and there were no jobs. So I looked and looked and looked and sent out resumes and just 90 resumes in 90 days, and nothing happened. So I hired a headhunter, and she said, okay, can you program? And I said, no. She said, if you'll say you can program, I'll have you a job tomorrow. I said, okay, fine, I can program.
There you go.
I had one class in programming, and I didn't like it. But then I got a job at Lockheed, and I taught myself to program at night and work during the day. And I loved it. I just loved it. And I asked for a transfer over to the systems programming group, which I got. And I became a systems programmer. And the rest is history, as they say, because I love programming.
Wow.
It's so logical.
Major. That's a major statement. And it's just exactly that word, logical. Mm-hmm. And I think
that's how I approach trading.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say, that I think that so many people really desire to become professional traders, or they want to really trade. And they're missing one step. And it's the step that trading and numbers and how they're put together is very logical.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to be a mathematician, but you do have to be logical.
You do have to be logical. You do have to have an understanding of numbers and how they're put together, and how different positions are put together, I should say. You know, I think it's like if you're going to be an options trader, you need to understand what they each are and how you put them together and what that all means. And so, but we're not here to discuss options trading.
No, because I know nothing about options trading.
Really?
I tried it in the beginning of my career, and all I did was lose money. 2000, you have a limited risk. Yeah, well, I lost it every time.
My limited risk did come through for me every single trade,
Right.
which is very possible. So you're working for Lockheed Martin, you're moving over to programming, you've learned how to program now. And when did you decide that you're going to start programming for yourself? And when did that all switch and you entered into the glorious world of trading?
Yeah. Well, I left Lockheed after 4.5 years there. Started a company down here in San Diego with a couple other guys. And we were programming computer graphics software. It was the first computer graphics software available. And it was for mainframes. They wanted me not just to program, that's an aside, but also to create a company for them. They wanted me to run the business. So I became vice president of operations and had stock in the company and hired. So we went from 3 of us to 105 of us 8 years later.
Wow.
I was running a whole lot of programmers, managing all the programmers. And I decided, and I had 2 little kids, and I decided that was long enough. I needed to take care of my kids. I couldn't keep working 16-hour days.
No.
And I retired at 30.
Wow.
Then I gave a lot of money to money managers because I thought that was the smart thing to do. And it took them 3 weeks to lose $75,000. And I said, I can do that poorly on my own. I took the money back and I started learning just like programming. I taught myself to trade.
Wow.
1981.
Good timing.
Mm-hmm.
And so what side of trading did you come in on? Where did you begin?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the people who lost, money managers who lost 75,000 for me, were trading futures. And when after that, I said, well, I'll never trade futures. But then I was buying and selling stocks and bonds and, real estate and all kinds of things, building up the bankroll. And I found out about the S&P 500 and I started trading futures, even, never say never.
Never say never.
So I started trading the S&P and that's where I've been ever since. I
Wow.
do still have long-term stock portfolios, but I've been trading the S&P since 82.
Wow.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do remember, it's like you and I have had conversations of that very interesting day on October the 19th, 1987, which unfortunately does peg us into being senior.
Yeah.
But it was a very dynamic and important day as a trader, because at the time, the Dow being down 507 or 508 points was unheard of. It was a crash.
It was.
And,
It was
and
astronomical compared to the price of the Dow at that time.
it was astronomical. And I, still being out here on the Pacific, I wasn't here on that particular day, but it wiped 1/3 of the capital
Mm-hmm.
off the floor. We were a
Mm-hmm.
small floor. So it was devastating. It was devastating for market makers. It was devastating for how we traded at that time, because it was nothing to, people that might have an understanding about trading, there are puts and calls and options, and calls give you the right to buy the underlying, puts give you the right to sell the underlying.
Mm-hmm.
And if you happen to be short puts, you are getting long.
Right.
And
I know that much.
Yeah, and then and which was the case, because as market makers, we basically walk in and we're taught that we're contrarian, because
Mm-hmm.
our commitment to the exchange, to be on the floor and to be trading in that particular pit, representing X amount of stocks, was that we would make a market for the investing
For the
public.
retail. Yeah.
Retail, whether they came in brokers or institutional, we made the market. So that made us exclusive. If you wanted to trade this particular option class in this particular stock, you came to the Pacific Exchange. And as it was during those days, all of us had exclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
But we sold. we sold, and we sold premium because that was our insurance. That was our money-making scheme. And on that day, the market moved so fast and went down so quickly, and we had such inadequate systems at the time. There was no internet. Everything did came over the wire and stuff, but it
Big
was
antenna
amazing.
on my roof.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
where we got data. Yeah.
Exactly. And it just wiped out so many people
Oh,
in
yeah.
one session. One
I had a stockbroker at the time for my, long-term portfolio. It was short-term portfolios. I was buying, selling stocks. And I took some charts that I had been drawing by hand and said, the market's going to crash. I want to sell everything I have. And he said, oh, no, no, no. Come downtown and have lunch with me. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, but my charts show it.
right.
And he said, no, charts don't show anything. This is the biggest bull run in history. You got to stay in. So I had lunch with him and I said, sell everything I have. It's my money. So we did
Good.
near the top in August.
Right. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
So you were a little bit ahead.
I was a
It's
little
even
bit ahead,
better.
the end of August. So then on Tuesday, after the big crash, I called him up and said, buy everything you can get your hands on.
Right.
My fate was decided with that one weekend.
And that's a true story.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of your fate being decided.
Mm-hmm.
So your analysis gave you hints and
Mm-hmm.
told you when to get out. But at the same time, you recognized an extreme oversold condition as
Mm-hmm.
quickly as it happened.
Extreme overbought condition. Oh, and then the oversold after followed.
But
Yeah.
yeah, after October 19th, it was extremely oversold.
Yes.
And so it was time to get back in. And hindsight being not 2020, when we go back and we look at the charts now, and we look at 1987, or we look at the crash of 87, it's even smaller than that.
Right.
It's unrecognizable.
Right. It
In
looks like a
comparison
tiny
to
blip.
it is not even a pip anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When we have to compare it to what even now, looking at the charts, to look at back at things such as 2008, 2009, and what we went through during those periods, that it was like down, 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 and it was like, what's going to be the stock of the day? What are they going to hammer into submission? And I remember back in those days of just sitting and watching my computer. And again, I was still using, I was using a system that a company that I had at the time was producing. So it's a different system, but watching Ford one afternoon just get slammed and slammed and slammed and sold and sold and sold. And I kept thinking to myself, they have this trading at the time, it was like $1.87. And they were still hitting the bids. And I'm thinking, no, Ford is a gigantic company.
Mm-hmm.
If they shut the doors and auctioned off all of their equipment and all of the cars, it's got to be equal to more than $1.50 a share.
Right.
So, or $1.87. So I ended up starting to buy Ford just simply because it was ridiculous. And again, thinking in terms of like, well, what was my risk? What I paid.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever I put in, that was what I could risk. So I thought all I had was upside. I had very little downside. And as it turned out, I didn't hold on long enough, because I was buying it on average. I started to buy it like $1.77 or something, and I bought it down to like 152 or whatever. And I was a big seller at $6 and $7. Meanwhile, it goes back to 20. So, but hindsight being what it is.
Yeah.
So tell us how you then moved into programming indicators.
Well, I got tired of drawing charts by hand.
Mm.
And Tim Slater and partners came out with CompuTrack, which was the first technical analysis software available. And of course, I got that. I'm an early adopter. I love to buy software.
Mm.
So I got that and I used that, but it was only available for daily data, and I wanted intraday data. So then Robert Slade came out with a Macintosh version of technical analysis software. master chartist. And so I used master chartist and got intraday data on that, real-time stuff, which was wonderful. And then I started using System Writer, which was made by the company now known as TradeStation. It was Omega Research at the time. And I taught myself to program their little programming language, easy language, which was much easier 25 years ago or whatever it was, or 30 years ago than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's gotten quite complex and there's all kinds of things you can do with it. But that's what I was doing, is using easy language to test my ideas. I really felt firm that you had to test what you were doing, or you couldn't have any idea if it was going to work in the future. You'd just be guessing. So
Right.
that's how I started programming easy language.
And is that when you started writing books?
No, a couple years after that. So I'm a full-time trader while all this stuff is going on, and I wanted to buy a full page ad in Futures magazine, which no longer exists, but then it was the magazine, and it was $10,000 a month. And I thought, well, I'll just make my own magazine. So I created a magazine called Trader's Catalog and Resource Guide, and I published that for 8 years. But in the first year of that, I'd been writing some of the articles and, getting famous people to write articles for me. And John Wiley and Sons came to me and said, "Would you write a book?" I said, "No, I can't write." And the editor said, "Well, I think you can write. You're writing in your own magazine." Well, that's true, but that's an article, not a book. She said, "Write me a table of contents." Okay, I can do that. That won't hurt. So I wrote a table of contents, and she said, "So here's your advance, write the book." And that became Trading 101.
Wow.
And they didn't want me to call it Trading 101. They were adamant that it had to be called something else because nobody would know what 101 meant. Only college people. I said, everybody knows what 101 meant. If you want me to write it, it's going to be called Trading 101.
Right.
And that's where that started. So now I'm on my 7th book, which should be done in another month or 2.
And your 7th book is going to be about what?
Well, it's about TradeStation's object-oriented easy language, which is it's a real programming language. It's not easy language, it's hard language. So there was no documentation for it. There's no way to learn it. They've got this wonderful programming language and nobody can use it. So I decided to write the book.
Is that kind of the same way that you came upon that you decided, I'm not really liking these indicators, so you decided that you would just program your own?
Make my own. Well, I learned very early on that standard moving averages, simple, exponential, any of them, produce whipsaw. So you can get the trend right. Well, with a moving average, you always get in late. And then when the trend's over and you start consolidation, it whips you around and you lose all the money you made during the trend. So that's why I programmed my dynamic moving average indicator, because it avoids most whipsaw. I introduced mathematics in it that's unique to me, and it smooths out the curve by varying the input length. So if normally you have a moving average of 9 and 18, for instance, and if you put 9 and 18 into mine, that seeds the value, but after that it calculates its own values. So the moving average is dynamic by calculating its own value on every single tick of the market. And it avoids whipsaw.
So in the early days, would it take a very powerful computer to actually be able to?
No, I was running on not an Apple II, but a Macintosh very early on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I created this thing. I've been trading for almost 42 years, so probably 35 years ago, 36, 37, maybe even. A long time ago.
A long time, I know. It's like when we have to sit, we have to think, how long have I been doing this? It's like a very long time.
Forever. Yeah.
But I find it very interesting because as traders, we've had to evolve, because in 2022, is just a given. And I think that we as traders need to accept it, that trading is quantitative, period.
Mhm.
And it's algorithmically controlled, period. And if you can't function that way, and it's simply because everything is electronic.
Mhm.
So how we communicate, how we put our orders in, how we do everything is all, electronic.
Yeah.
And I find that there was a learning curve. And between trading on a floor and being professionals, what they called it at the day, and then when you left the floor, you became retail.
Mhm.
Became
Upstairs.
it kind of leveled the playing field somewhat. But at the same time, when we were on the floor, we heard in advance of everything, Goldman Sachs is doing this, Morgan Stanley's doing that, so-and-so's coming in here, they're got an interest over here, this is what this guy's is saying, all before it went out and hit Reuters or the news services, and they put it out then into the public,
Right.
who didn't have the same access to that news as we have today.
Mhm. Everybody
So
has access now.
true. And it doesn't take 15 or 20 minutes for the news to be worldwide.
Mhm.
It takes about 20 or 30 seconds.
There's no Pony Express anymore.
There's no Pony Express anymore. So I feel that that has changed the dynamic of trading.
Mhm.
That has changed how we want to trade. That has changed what methodology we're going to use, what signals we're going to take. So this is when I became very interested in the two that we're going to talk about today that you have designed and programmed yourself.
Mhm.
The first being Sunny Bands,
Mhm.
and the second being the dynamic moving average histogram.
Yeah.
And what I want to preface it by saying, and I'm going to be very pleased, and I'm going to give control of our screens, folks, and then Sunny be able to pull up her screen, and we're going to go over in detail how these all work and how they really need to be in all of our hands. And primarily because of the fact that, as you mentioned, and you alluded to, on how quickly the market changes, and you mentioned every tick.
Mhm.
That's a true story.
Mhm.
And so a plain moving average, we now have the ability, at least I do on Thinkorswim and other charting services, where I can, and said not to close, I can put it on every tick. And so it'll calculate. But you have smoothed that even more. And it's more proprietary, which is fine, because it's your secret sauce, so to speak.
Right.
First thing I want to do is I want to
How
go,
I make my living.
there you go.
Can't give it away.
I am going to go over and make you host.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn it over to you. Now we're going to talk about what people are seeing, and I'm your call. You go.
Thank you, Michael. This is a chart of the 5-minute E-mini. So these are 5-minute bars. That's what I trade on. I also trade the same indicators on daily bars for stocks, because I buy and sell them for weeks to months at a time. The bars that are light green and magenta are in the overnight session. The blue and red ones are in the day session. And I do that because when I'm trading, I don't want to have to think of any other information other than where to place that trade. So my rules well, let me tell you first, the golden purple lines in the center of the channel are the dynamic moving average. Purple means we're overall bearish. Gold means we're overall bullish. And the sunny bands, the green and teal lines on the top and bottom of the dynamic moving average, are created by average true ranges from the golden purple lines. So my rules are, when it comes up to the top band on a blue bar, turns red, I go short. Comes down to the bottom bar on red, I go, and turns blue, I go long. So up here above the top band, turns red. I wait for price confirmation and go short. It's as simple as that. There's really not a lot to it. There's only one caveat, and that's if it comes up to the dynamic moving average and goes back across like that, then I go short again. Long, short, long, and now it goes above the dynamic moving average, and I'm double down on the long, and there it goes to the top. The red, gold, green, and purple lines that form the histogram measure the difference between the two dynamic moving averages. So the difference between the purple and the gold produces this bar down here. If it's purple, that means purple's on, well, if it's below the zero line, then that says that purple's on top and we're overall short. But this is a precursor. Gold is on top, so the histogram is above the zero line. It turns red, which tells the current confirms for me that this is a sell signal. So if that's a red histogram and price comes down and goes lower than the previous bar, signal bar, then I'm short. And it turns purple and goes below, I'm still short. And here, right here, it turns green, confirming that I should go long. And I just go back and forth with the Sunny Bands rules and the histogram rules, confirming my trades, and that's about it. The dots on the bottom are gold when the gold line's on top, and they're purple when the purple line's on top. So I don't have to look right in here, for instance, where I can't tell which is on top. So I call this indicator who's on top. So purple, purple. Here I've got a light purple that tells me that the DMA is dynamic moving area. I call it DMA, is kind of flat. So if it's kind of flat, that means caution. Here it turns gold and we double down on the long. And that's it. That's all I use for trading. And I've been using it for so long, it's second nature. And the cool thing is everybody that listens to this can call me or email me. It's Sunny at Money Mentor, and get a free trial for TradeStation or multi-charts at this point. I am getting a programmer to work on making it available for NinjaTrader.
Right. So I think we need to go we need to just kind of make that clear for right now.
Right now, which multi-charts and TradeStation.
That the program is written
just for those two.
Just for the two, with the possibility coming up in the future that it will be available for NinjaTrader,
right,
which is great. Now, what I really like about this, and because you've been using it for so long, it's just something you're just accustomed to and you're used to. But the rest of us traders have to go through our periods of like, why is it going up? Why is it going down? Who's doing what? What's going on? And you have taken all the guesswork out and made it technical and algorithmic.
Right.
Which is the way things trade in 2022. And that has to be an accepted fact by all traders. In my opinion, if a trader cannot accept this is the way things are trading, and if you're going to spend time trying to figure out why, the who, what, where, when, or why, or how, or whatever else you want to add into that, the trade's already happened.
Yeah.
And you're going to be then working on a fear of missing out premise.
And you're late. You're late.
And you're late. And from the very first time that I was together, we were doing a web show and you were going over these, I was glued to my screen going like, wow. And I remember having a conversation with you saying, well, do you just kind of do it automatically? And you're like, yes. But it was actually through further conversation. And it's a magic thing that you just kind of said now that I think people really need to understand. This isn't something new that you wrote a week and a half ago and you just sort of like, oh, it's great, come and do it. You use it
to market it.
Right.
It's mine.
It is yours. It's your baby. And you've tested it. You've made the adjustments to it. And you trade with it every single day. And it is the system that you trust. These combined, the histogram and the Sunny Bands put together produce reliable, tradable signals.
And they give me confidence.
and they give you confidence, but not only give you confidence to enter the trade, but give you confidence to hold on to the trade.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
find
that's
that many
scary.
traders, when we go in, they're just so nervous that this is going to turn and go the other direction that they're in and out before, and then they're like, oh man, they've missed out on a larger moneymaker.
Yeah.
And this takes the
takes
easiest
the
way for me to
guesswork
say
out.
this, it takes the emotions
Yeah.
out of trading.
Yeah.
And I think this is important because I think you'll agree that in 2022, and actually in the 21st century for that matter, trading is technical. Trading
yeah.
is quantitative. And so algorithms do not have emotions.
hmm
Now, the programmer could have emotions, but the algorithm itself is computer. Computer's on a mission. It's following the directive. And if you guys really want to just see how that's converted into human speak, go watch the movie Tron.
Yeah.
From way back when. I remember when that movie came out and I was thinking, why they're talking like the computers? Like, it's because they are a computer. They're the program.
Right.
And so whoever came up with that concept, how brilliant. Because that is exactly what a program is going to do. It's going to execute or do exactly what it has just been programmed, and that whoever hit the on button or the execute button, it's going to go do it.
It'll do whatever the programmers told it to do. So
exactly.
Programmers have a very delicate job in a way because they have to be careful what they tell the computer. I mean, if I told the computer to do the opposite of what I see here and what I do, then it wouldn't work very well.
No, it wouldn't.
But it'd do exactly what I told it to.
Yes. And again, this is, just point out one more time where the histogram is and where the sunny bands are.
Okay, the histogram is from here to here. It's the vertical line, very colorful lines. And the colors, again, key me into exactly how I use it. The sunny bands are the green and teal channel that's formed around price action. And the dynamic moving average is in the center. It's the gold and purple lines right through there. And it's the difference between these two lines that creates the vertical lines in the histogram. Now, I do give a free 7-day trial to these indicators. That means you get to use it for 7 days. I have people telling me all the time that they made money during their 7-day trial. And during that time, the first day, I help you install it on Zoom. And then twice during the week, I'll give you a call again on Zoom. We'll get together and go over it in the live market so you really understand how to use it.
Right. And thank you. I think that this is like telling people, it's like, here, go make money. Take the guesswork out of what you're doing. And particularly, folks, it's like, this is such an important thing to not put together. Which is why I'm going to be honest to people who are going to be listening. Sonny and I have known each other for a while, but I've been like, Sonny, get somebody to put this on the NinjaTrader. Make this acceptable for a different trading system other than TradeStation or multi-charts. Because I think, I'm not sure, but I believe that NinjaTrader is one of the larger. I mean, there's also Sierra Charts, which is also very, very good. And then there's Thinkorswim.
Yeah.
But what is specifically, I think, been set up for futures trading is NinjaTrader. And so the draw for most traders that come in, they see this movement, and then they can see the dollars that people are making. And so they want a piece of that pie, and I don't blame them. And that interest, folks, is really kind of doubled or even tripled because of the pandemic that we basically are walking our way out of, but are not clear of yet.
Right.
So I get many, many inquiries for people that want to come in and trade because they want to switch. They want to make this their means of earning income, and they want to be a full-time trader. And so there's a lot that goes into doing that goes on an emotional level, an educational level, et cetera, et cetera. There's many, many different ways. Well, what we're presenting here today, which is why I wanted Sonny to be my guest, is something that you can start with that automatically removes so much of the other steps that one needs to really get a hold of, and that's on the emotional level.
Mhm.
And so the only thing that this doesn't do, folks, it's not an auto trader. So that when you get this, you definitely have to be the one that hits the buy button or hits the sell button or to close a position and to enter another position.
Now I am working on an auto trader version of it.
I know, and I think that's what excites me, because I like to do my own trading sometimes, but I'd love to have this on another screen and just in a product.
Mhm.
No, I can't trade all things all the time. Happen to be a NASDAQ junkie.
Mhm.
Probably because I'm still, believe it or not, an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah,
And the NASDAQ tends to give you that every single day
it does.
because of the volatility and how fast it can move. But this follows that. This catches that.
Mhm.
For example, we just go back to
Let me just
Friday
show you
morning.
some. Do I still have control? Watch this. Hang on a second. There's the NASDAQ.
Right.
Same
Now,
story, top to bottom, top to bottom.
right. Now, here we are, folks, that we had the number at 530, which is actually, you can see that in that magenta color, which was the employment situation number. Crazy. And then still, if you decided to trade, you still can use Sunny Bands, right? They still function.
Yeah.
So,
And they work on any symbol, any time frame.
and that I think is also the beauty, which is where my interest lies. Except, folks, I don't have TradeStation. Sonny and I, through discussion, has been like, please just get TradeStation. It'll make your life happy. Because I would run this, again, I like to trade the NASDAQ, but I could run it in the S&P. I can run it on gold.
Yeah.
Anybody had to be watching gold on Friday? Gold was up $40. That is $10 a tick, and there are 10 ticks to the dollar.
And there's the 5-minute gold.
It was just, I think, did Sunny Bands ever give a sell signal? I don't know. I doubt it. Maybe a little bit here and
Right
there.
in the middle of the chart, there's a weak sell signal, which, well, to the left of that, there's a yellow dot. And you can see that's the sell signal. So you follow it down to the lower band, and then you go long again and stay the rest of the day.
For the rest of
real
the day.
quick short trade, but that's it.
The rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is, it's something that I just find useful, real. And now, folks, I want to tell you, everything that Sunny is saying right now, she calls you, she sends the email, she does this. It's not somebody who's working under her or for her. She takes full responsibility for her products. That is a rare find.
And I trade them.
And she trades them.
Yeah.
So on top of showing everybody how to do it and give you personal time, she's also trading. Now, let me just tell you, as a trader, I think the only way you can do that is by allowing your system to handle the trade, because you got to go off and do something else. Doesn't mean that your eye is being off that trade, but you can watch and go like, oh, I just got a sell signal, excuse me. Okay, back to what you were saying, exactly.
Right.
So I think these are important things. Yes, part of the reason I wanted to have Sunny on was to show these two products, because they are dynamic. They are for real. And I've now done enough programs and webinars with Sunny, and it's consistent. And so, I mean, you could go back and look at a long-term chart. I mean, so let me just say, for example, if someone said, well, I'm not really a day trader, I like to be a swing trader.
Mm-hmm.
How would Sunny Bands and the histogram work in that manner?
Well, I just typed 15 MIN, 15 minutes. There's gold on a 15-minute chart. Same story.
And
daily.
Of course, you have the ability
there it is on a daily chart.
Oh, good. Look at that.
So you can see right now, right here was the buy signal on gold on the daily chart. See, it went down touched, turned.
And what was the
exceeded.
date? Can you catch that date?
The buy would have been 10/21.
And you got
And
a
there
sell
it is. It's
signal.
breaking through. It's going to go on up to the upper band, which is at 1727.
Right. Now that's the other thing that I wanted to show you is like when you're using this and it breaks above that breaks above your center part of the history of the
Midline,
dynamic
yeah. Moving
moving
average.
averages. That signal it's because it's the moving average, folks. And even I on when moving averages, if it breaks the 50 and it breaks it on particularly on like on a daily chart, what's the target? The 200. In this case, it's the upper sunny bands.
Upper sunny band.
And
now
so it's the same concept.
Yeah.
And
no matter.
It isn't.
It's no matter which chart
right.
you're looking at. It's one concept.
Right. And it repeats and it repeats and repeats. Why? Because the market does.
Right.
So in essence, what even as a swing trader, even a little bit more of a position trader, you can use these and you pull them up on the chart time frame that you're using as the trader to construct your trade. And if you're looking, say, well, you know,
we can even say weekly. Well, it doesn't have very many weeks of history there. We can't say, oh, GC daily. Weekly. There it is.
There.
Okay, so overall, on a weekly basis, we're down.
Gave you a sell signal.
Down. Gave me a sell signal right here on 3/18. 3/18.
March. Wow. And in essence, you stayed short.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to go long anywhere there.
So folks, this can be used day trading, this can be used swing trading, this can be used position trading. And you've got the person who wrote it coming to tell you how to do it.
And all updates are free forever, and it's a good forever license. So a lot of people charge monthly or yearly. You buy it, it's yours. If you need any help.
And I want to say that every single time that I've done a web show with Sunny, and we've done many, and we are able to fill in our blanks and tell people about our products and whatever, Sunny will give out her telephone number and say, call me.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you, she's giving out her telephone number that goes out to the internet.
Right.
And she means
and it's my cell phone.
And she'll pick it up and she'll say hello. Yeah. You won't get a recording. This is extraordinary, folks. It's extraordinary of an offer. I don't even do that. So
not many people do, but
not many.
And mind if I give it now that we're talking about it?
You definitely can give it now, but you're going to definitely give it again before we finish.
Oh, I'll wait then.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to let you get away without all the information.
Okay.
Because this is too important. And again, as a guest, Sunny is my first. I've been doing podcasts, but it's just been me. And it's been me giving information about trading the NASDAQ and the S&P and a long-term picture. So Sunny is my first guest. And the reason is because I adore this product. This product is real. This product is functional, and it is an easy way to remove all your emotions from trading and follow a system that consistently is correct. It gives you the signals when it should. You don't have to second guess. Oh my God, look at the market's going up and I haven't gotten a signal yet. What should I do? Should I get out of my short? No, because it's not telling you to.
And it gives you the confidence to stick with it for a while.
That's exactly what I mean.
Larry Williams and I had lunch one day, and he said to me, it takes time to make money.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah, that's a true story.
Stay with your trades longer. Now, I have to say, this is not without its flaws. I do have losses. I mean, from time to time, you'll have a losing trade, and that's just part of the business.
But it tells you when to get out of that trade. Right. That's the important thing. And thank you for mentioning that, because that is something that needs to be said. Not every single trade is a winning trade. But folks, the key to being a successful trader is you could trade 45 trades, and maybe out of that 45 trades, 10 were winners and 35 were losers. It's cutting the losers quick and letting your winners run.
Right.
And this system will allow you to do that.
Yeah.
It will catch you. It'll tell you, nope, sorry, I kind of got misfooted there. Get out of that one. Or basically it's telling you, get out in reverse. Because it may give you a buy signal and then suddenly you get a sell signal.
Here's a losing trade. So we go down on red, back up on blue. We wait for, no, it's not a losing trade. We wait for a candle to exceed this value. It doesn't. So we did not get confirmation. So you may or may not go short there because we don't get confirmation on the long trade. If you look at the purple moving average above, though, you can see purple's on top, biases to the downside. That's a short trade.
And then when it switched,
then you go
which you
long.
did in the NASDAQ, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very accurate. It is very accurate, and it's a very dynamic methodology to sorting out the whims of buyers and sellers. So, you know, I attempt to teach that as a trader, if you want to be a day trader, you really cannot spend the time on trying to figure out why the market is doing what it's doing. That when you're dealing in an index, particularly like the NASDAQ, there are 102, it's actually 100, but you'll see 102 listed because Google is 2. So, you know, because Alphabet divided into an A and a B stock. So in any case, when they're in 100 stocks that all have options trade the way that they do, markets move herky-jerky because of all the dynamics within that index. But if we had to sit and spend, why is somebody buying Apple? Why is somebody selling Amazon? What are they doing in Google? You've missed the trade.
Right.
And then if you're jumping in, you're going to be like, oh man, no, look at, they reversed it. This system doesn't work. It's like, you're right. The system you're using doesn't work. Here is something to take all of that emotion out, take all of that having to go find a reason for the market to be doing something. Because trust me, folks, the NASDAQ is not stopping. The NASDAQ isn't going like, well, we're going to give you a reason we're going down. It's just doing it because that's the order flow. That's how things are coming in. That's how different components are trading. And if we had to take time to go figure out why those 100 stocks are doing what they're doing, I'd never push the button.
Yeah, you can't stand in front of a moving train.
Amen. So here's a system that I have now followed through my association with Sunny that works. And I know that when she's explaining it, it's a calm voice and it's very even. There's no emotion. You know why?
Yeah.
Because it works.
Well, it takes all the emotion out of it.
It takes all the emotion out of it. So when she's explaining it, it's like, this is what it does. There's no need to I'll get emotional because I'm excited to share this. So.
And you're Italian.
And that too, it's the Italian in me. But we're going to kind of wrap this up. So what I do want to say is that I will be sharing Sunny's these 2 indicators on my website at Logical Signals, but more on that later. But in the meantime, Sunny, please tell people, and so make sure you spell it out so they get it very clearly and say it a couple of times so they get the number, they get your website, everything that they need to know to contact you to get their hands on these products.
All right. My website is www.moneymentor, M-E-N-T-O-R. So it's MONEYMENTOR.com. And my email is Sunny with a U, SUNNY at moneymentor.com. And my phone is 760-908-3070. That's my cell phone. And I'm in Pacific time frame. I'm in time zone. I'm in San Diego.
And so please understand that if you go to voicemail, it's usually because we're still asleep,
Right.
right?
Or I'm on
Yeah,
another Zoom call with somebody else, and I'll get back to you just as quickly as I can.
there you go. So once again, 760,
908-3070.
right.
And
I really encourage, now again, please tell people what they're entitled to. If they call you and they ask, they can get a 7-day free, no commitment trial.
yes, 7-day free trial. And you get 3 bonuses with it. One is I will install it for you on Zoom on your computer. I'll help you do that and show you exactly how to use it for free. And there are 2 calls during the next week while you have it, so we can go through in the live market how I use it and make sure you have the rules right. Because I don't want people to say, well, I never really got to use it, or I didn't understand it. I make sure you understand it and that we've had enough time together.
Right. And okay, so and that on what was I was now just kind of went zipping right by what I wanted to add. There was something else I wanted to add, but not important. Oh, yes, it is important. At the moment, folks, these wonderful tools are only available on TradeStation or
Multi-charts.
multi-charts. So
Right.
again, TradeStation or multi-charts. Soon, we hope, coming to NinjaTrader.
Yeah.
Once it hits NinjaTrader, there are going to be a lot of sales because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have a great interest in this product.
Yeah.
So
Good. That's wonderful. I want people to make money. That's my greatest joy. That's my passion, is in seeing other traders make money.
and I think that's really because that I think that's one of the bonds that Sonny and I share, and that's made us such good friends, is that our goal is we want other people to make money. We want other people to share in some of the successes that over our own careers we have individually had. And so we like coaching, we like teaching,
Love it.
we like seeing other people make money. So, Sonny, I want to thank you for taking the time today and coming on and doing this and presenting this. This is great.
Thank you, Michael.
I've seen it many times and I'm already still very excited.
Good.
So you got me thinking again, I'm not going to wait for NinjaTrader. I'm going to have to go get a TradeStation. But we'll see. But thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you
for
so
joining
much.
me, for joining us today. And thank you, everybody, for coming in and watching today. And stay tuned because there will be additional guests. That is going to be now moving into that. And so we'll have that to go on. Thank you and have a great day. Link to Michael Filighera's Eye of the Storm podcast on tradershelpingtraders.com.